Here's what's coming up on today's show.
You really should have already had some estate work done before you're ready to retire, but if you haven't yet, now's the time, baby, is to go ahead and at least get that in place.
Welcome to the How Money Works podcast with Craig and Jennifer Moser of Maestro Wealth Advisors, serving you throughout the Triad of North Carolina for more than 30 years.
You ever read that book, the 5 People You Meet in Heaven, before we get started, by the way?
No.
No? You never did?
No, but I'll add that to my reading list.
It's pretty cool, yeah. So a man arrives in heaven and encounters 5 different people who impacted his life in a meaningful way. So I thought this week on the show, we would do the 5, or as Craig pointed out before we jumped on here, or 6 people that you meet, that you might want to meet, I should say, before you get to retirement. We'll take that kind of idea from the book and we'll break it into it. So
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we're going to add that 6th one in because Craig says so. All
That's right.
Number 1, financial advisor. You might want to meet with one before you retire. Why is that?
Well, there's things that you need to take a look at. And if you don't take a look at it, the things you don't know might hurt you later. Usually when somebody stops work, I hate my job, I don't want to work here. That's not a good set of plans, but just hear me out. If you have worked with a financial advisor and looked at, for example, how am I going to get paid when I quit work? It's going to be a big issue. You'll wake up a month later and go, where's my paycheck? And you might do some emotional things if you haven't worked with someone to plan this out. And so, when do I turn that Social Security check on? Is it the quickest I can do it or the most optimal time that I can do it? So that's a discussion. Same thing with a pension. Where and how do I invest the money that I have, because you are no longer contributing to an account if you're retired. Before, when the market went down, that was cool. You added more to it and you got more when it went back up, and it was pretty great. But the opposite will happen when you are taking out an account and it has a lot of volatility, and that volatility is negative. So think about it. If I had $1 million and the value went down 20%, $800,000, and you took $100,000 out that year to live on, at the end of the following year, you don't have $1 million anymore. You got $700,000, and you're taking the same $100,000 out. The withdrawal rate changed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think it's not just meet with a financial advisor. I mean, I think you need to meet with someone who specializes in retirement income planning and strategizing in that nature. So, to me, when I think of just the standard financial advisor, a lot of times I think of accumulation phase.
Right.
So you're investing your money with them, you're accumulating that money, and they don't really have a strategy of how they're going to distribute that money to you efficiently in retirement, and how that works optimally with all the other income flows that you have to minimize taxes and maximize value to self.
Right. They're just trying to hit home runs.
Right. So,
yeah.
So I would say you really need someone who specializes and deals with retirement income and planning day in and day out,
the
which is what we do.
Distribution plays part of retirement, or however you're going to look at this. The distribution phase of this is dramatically different than the accumulation time.
And you really need to meet with that advisor, I would say at least 5 years. I mean, if you can do 10 years before, great, but 5 years before, because there may be some course corrections that can be taken to minimize your overall taxes down the road, as long as you've had that time to do some course correction, either continuing to max fund where you put those dollars and the strategizing of your Social Security and your pension options. So that's one of the people that you want to meet before retirement. What about your estate planner? That would be a second person to meet with.
Well, estate planning, we put labels on people. Well, I have a lawyer, he did my will. And I'm like, okay, tell me a little bit about that person. Well, it was my friend told me about it. He got his ticket fixed, and so I went to that person. Well, that's maybe not the most optimal person for an estate plan. It's software, I understand. But how customized is the document? Do you have some sort of funding letter or engagement that says, here's what you should do with your bank accounts. Here's what you should do from a beneficiary standpoint on your retirement plans. Here's what you should do for your annuities or insurance products to make sure that the plan is consistent with what you want to have happen out in the future. I know we're nutcases about making sure that, if you have some money, that money drops into some protective asset trusts for your children so that they can't get sued or bankrupt or the divorce. Those are the three big ones. And money that you saved a lifetime that you gave to your children or heirs is on the table for somebody else to perhaps take. That would drive me nuts to give some money to one of my children. They have a divorce and then their spouse remarries and that person's enjoying the money that I took a whole lifetime to put a pile together. It's like, it took me forever to get that, and I don't want to give it to anybody but the one I want to give it to. We can fix that by using a good, solid estate planning attorney that understands how to put this together and make sure that the whole plan fits, not just I have a will.
Right.
Yeah.
And making sure that whatever you did in your estate plan and your healthcare power of attorney and your durable power of attorney, make sure it all works, but making sure that your assets have a home at death and not go through your will. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I got a will." So, well, that's great, but we like to use the will as a last resort only if it doesn't already have that beneficiary, that transfer on death or that payable on death designation.
Can I talk about my dad?
Sure.
So my dad took him to a good estate planning attorney. It was concrete. It was really solid. And then we find out about this one little itty bitty nothing piece of property that he had up in Virginia that he never even thought about except for tax time. And so now we have to go up and probate that, and that keeps the estate open. Everything else quick. I mean, we have it done, and it was done very quickly. That one thing's going to make us leave the estate open. So think about the distribution of your estate. How good is that estate planning attorney, and making sure that you have all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted. It's important, unless you hate your kids. And then what you do is you mess this thing up royally and then let them fuss and fume about it and talk bad about you for the rest of their lives. No, I'm kidding.
So the 6 people, we're talking about the 6 people you should meet before retirement. And really, we're talking about the estate planning planner. You really should have already had some estate work done before you're ready to retire. But if you haven't yet, now's the time, baby, is to go ahead and at least get that in place. The third person that we want to talk about would be that insurance broker. A lot of things are changing as you're going toward retirement, right? You might have had some life insurance, you had your group plan health insurance, but now you're looking at going on to the government plan, right? Medicare. You need someone to really understand that whole transition and mechanism and pick the right plan for you.
Well, there's other things to think about too. May I?
Yeah.
Or did I break your thought?
No.
Okay, so health insurance is crazy, stupid important, and we need to get that right. The other things that you might think about, but that you don't, is, hey, we're going to move to the beach. Before you do that, you might want to speak with a qualified insurance broker. How much is the insurance going to be on a house at the beach? How much is it going to cost, for all the auto insurance and all these other things, and making sure that you have a strategy in place and it wasn't ill-conceived. Mm-hmm. Like I know with all the storms that we've had.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah. I mean, you go and buy the thing down there, and then when you look at the insurance premium, you just about pass out because they have to cover for hurricanes, what's excluded, and those types of things. So all in, making sure that the insurance world is taken care of. Now, I go back to you and what you said. The health insurance is a big deal. Do you take a Medicare supplement? If you're over 65, do you take an Advantage plan? We don't do that type of insurance here, but we refer it to a really qualified advisor, and we've had great success over the years, being able to make that referral. Things that you should investigate before you just walk into age 65 or retirement and say, okay, I'll just go get one of these. Or here's the one that happens more than not. One of them will be 65. That insurance is taken care of easily, but the other one's 62. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you've got 3 more years. Do you try to play the income game to work the Affordable Care Act? There's a lot of things to think about to do this thing well. And so look in advance, work with professionals, and get a game plan.
So an individual that you might want to work with and talk to before retirement would be a tax advisor.
Yep.
Not necessarily a tax preparer, but really a tax advisor, because the end game in retirement is what you're keeping. You've got to see what you're going to net out after tax, can you do some strategies to keep more of your money? Whether you do Roth conversions, whether you do 1031 exchanges on investment real estate that you have and you don't want to pay the capital gains tax now and you want to kick that can down the road, and be able to just generate a cash flow from it. So a lot of strategy can occur if you work with a qualified tax planning CPA.
Doesn't have to be a CPA, though. We work with plenty of EAs and other people that are in the tax side. CPA is a great designation, but it's not the only thing to prepare taxes. Are you super complicated and need someone like that? Or do you just need a good, solid tax planning person?
Right. And it's key is planning versus preparing and all of that. So we've talked about financial advisor, or we talk about retirement income advisor, estate planning, insurance broker, tax advisor, all of that. Really, you need a quarterback. And that's what we do here at Maestro as the retirement income advisor and financial advisor, is we try to coordinate with all of your other trusted advisors to make sure everything is working together for you. You don't want to have people have their own independent plans and then things aren't working out the way you expected.
We added an extra one. We got 2 left, Jen. So who we got left? Who are we talking about?
Well, one is a fitness instructor. So when you retire, you're going to have more time on your hands, we're hoping.
Right.
And you've got to keep your body vital.
Fitness instructor?
Yeah, and this is the perfect time.
Are you serious?
Quality of life,
I think it's
baby.
a good idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Who's your fitness instructor, Mark?
Me.
He's not retired.
I'm not retired.
Oh, you're going to use that one.
But I think it's important because seriously, you've got to keep, when you look at your, like our parents, honey,
Yeah,
when
mine's
they
83,
started
yeah.
aging, their body starts failing, and you got to keep your strength up, your energy up,
The legs.
and energy, and you've got to have your vitality.
Yeah, the legs.
I go
So
with that.
get a fitness instructor. A lot of people will hire someone or do the something sneakers through Medicare. Was it
Oh, yeah,
Golden
silver sneakers, yeah.
Silver sneakers. I had golden. Silver sneakers. But I think that's an important person to
I
put
agree with
into your
you.
life.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, the legs. Craig just said that as well, right? So you want to make sure you're, because what is that saying that you spend your whole life, you sacrifice, what is it? You sacrifice your health for your wealth, and then you wind up spending your wealth for your health when you get older, right? So,
Yep.
Let's hope not.
right.
Yeah.
May
So-
I say something?
Yeah.
So
He keeps asking for permission.
you know how it is when you get older. You get married for a while, and you got to ask for
Can I
permission.
talk? Can I talk? Yes, you can talk.
So I forgot what I was going to say.
Now you can't talk.
All right, let's go to the 6th one then. I'm just kidding. So the 6th person you want to meet before retirement, this is one you really like. It's someone to mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pro on this.
Well,
yeah.
I will give my view of someone to mentor, because I will look at people that have a high skill set. An engineer that's sort of reached a pinnacle. You look at a physician. You look at a financial advisor. We have some young ones coming along here at the office, and it's nice to be able to let them come to you and say, "How would you do this? Here's a financial plan that I wrote. What would you do different?" And you give them your input, and you start to mentor them. It seems to me like a big waste to have all of that knowledge in your brain and then you just go play golf 3 times a week or something. Could you not share that with someone that wants it, first of all, and then would be able to take knowledge that has taken you a lifetime to acquire, and it pushes them further down the road? I just think that's a crucial thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're really in favor of that. I thought that was kind of cool for the 6 people you meet before retirement.
Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you have any questions about what we've discussed, remember, you can get a complimentary financial review with the team at Maestro Wealth Advisors by calling 336-448-1086 or go online to howmoneyworksradio.com for other great resources and ways to reach the team. You can also check the show notes of today's episode for our contact information as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite app so you never miss an episode. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the most popular apps. For Craig and Jennifer Moser, I'm Mark Killian. We'll talk to you next time on the How Money Works podcast.
Craig Moser is a financial advisor and certified financial planner. Securities offered through Avantax Investment Services, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Avantax Advisory Services. Insurance services offered through Avantax Affiliated Insurance Agency.